I'm Jane Secker, and you're listening to episode 7 of StoryCast 21. In 2021, a proposed breakaway of some of Europe's elite football clubs threatened to widen the divide between top teams and those who feel increasingly removed from the top tier. But a team that cost less than £10,000 to assemble struck a blow for the minnows and shook up the football establishment in 2012. This is a football fairy tale.
James Hanson, striker. And all you ever dream about is playing at Wembley.
Could be a chance. Hanson's in behind here. Goes down under a challenge.
My name is Tim Thornton. I work for Sky Sports News as a sports reporter.
I don't think he played the ball. Hanson went down very easily into the feet of Gomez.
In 2009, James was stacking shelves in his local Co-op supermarket near his home in Bradford.
And that was a chance for Danny Redmond. He's not really...
It was ideal, to be honest, to just walk down 5 minutes down to work and then get my shift done and then walk back home.
One of the players who was in the Bradford first team at the time lived very close to the supermarket where James worked. And he used to wind James up saying if he could get the tin of beans off the top shelf for me because he was so tall.
On the right-hand side, Doyle will whip across it. Straight ball, Hanson!
You know, I was able to do a couple of nights a week. Then I was probably only working 20 hours a week. Not far off minimum wage, to be honest.
It's a chance for City. There are 3 players in the box.
Just a couple of years later, he and the City were going to have the kind of Roy of the Rovers experience that just doesn't happen anymore in football.
In towards the back post, Benteke. Yes, James Hanson! James Hanson has broken his goal drought.
Come on!
I grew up in Bolton Woods, which was just a little town. Played for their local team and then moved houses to Idle when I was about 12, I think. Living in the city, got friends, obviously, when I grew up. All my friends was Bradford City supporters.
Yeah, James, he grew up just a few minutes away from the Bradford training ground. I used to hear a lot of stories then about James and how promising he was. He was playing for one of the leading Saturday sides, Ecclesall United. Then he made the jump up to Guiseley, one of the sides just outside the Football League, before Bradford, in July 2009, decided to take him on trial.
They ended up paying, £7,500 up front. And I think that at the time, that was the only fee Bradford had paid for a player for a long time. So they'd just been dealing with free agents and...
What's interesting with Bradford is that there's a massive close connection between the fans and the club, and that is tied into really what happened back in 1985 with the Bradford Fire.
Now these are extraordinary scenes at Valley Parade. It's supposed to be a day of celebration.
It was the day that Bradford was celebrating winning the title.
And the game has obviously had to stop. I saw the smoke about a minute ago.
56 people died that day. It started as a small fire in one end of the stand, but literally within seconds, within a minute, the fire had engulfed the whole stand, and the memories will never go away for all those people who were involved that day.
But a day of triumph could turn into a day of disaster here for Bradford.
Yeah, there was a deep-rooted connection between the fans and the club going back to the fire.
These quite astonishing scenes.
And Bradford later had got into the Premier League, and you know, there'd been a lot of celebration, a lot of hype around that. But once they dropped out of the Premier League, it had been a slide down the divisions from the Premier League to the Championship to League One and quickly into League Two.
We need more money, more employment, more excitement into the north in terms of...
I think there's definitely a north-south divide in terms of, you know, Bradford very much a working class city.
If we could get more of the quantity of the south into the north, I think we'd both be better for it.
Carl Smith. I've been a Bradford City supporter for nearly 30 years. The club had been in decline for years since kind of the Premier League days, and it had been kind of supporting them through thin and thinner. So, you know, the club was in the doldrums, and the city probably to a certain extent as well.
Phil Parkinson had taken over by 2012, and suddenly he got Bradford moving back up the tables again.
You know, bear in mind where the club had been, we were staring relegation out of the Football League in the face until he come in and he turned the club around.
So the home team first, Dwight York. Quarter-finals, Capital One Cup.
Number 4.
Well, the League Cup and the FA Cup are the two competitions where teams like Bradford in the lower echelons of the Football League can draw one of the big Premier League teams. So Bradford hadn't had any success in the cup competitions. They'd drawn Notts County and then Watford, who were playing in the Championship at the time. Then it was Wigan, a Premier League team. And
it was such an unbelievable feeling to be just playing against Premier League players and won on penalties. And the feeling after that was just unbelievable.
And suddenly the fans were invested in this cup journey.
Number 3, this is the last tie. Number 3 is Bradford City from League 2.
Number 1.
And number 1 is Alan's own club, Arsenal. Bradford against Arsenal.
And then Arsenal get pulled out of the hat in the next round, and the tie was set for December the 11th, 2012.
Number 4, Perth second. Number 5, captain Thomas Vermaelen.
Carl Smith. I remember I was walking up to the ground. It was a really cold night, and I was kind of thinking, I'm sure the kids that Arsene Wenger usually puts out for these cup games won't enjoy it.
19, Santi Cazorla.
And over the tannoy, they were just announcing the Arsenal team, and I saw the likes of Vermaelen, Cazorla, Ramsey, Wiltshire, Podolski in the side, and I thought, oh, blimey, he's really going for this one, and he's taking it very seriously.
We was like thinking, you know, surely they ain't going to play all these, but there was no other kids there. And then when the team sheet come in, it was literally international after international.
Arsenal were one of the biggest clubs in English football at the time, one of the biggest clubs in Europe.
In football, you need always to keep your composure, and as well, when you have the chances, take them.
What will be the biggest lesson?
They had a charismatic manager in Arsene Wenger and lots of superstar players as well.
Looking at the team that night, there was definitely close to 50, 60 million in that team.
A lot of these Bradford players had faced rejection elsewhere. Some were coming towards the end of their career. They weren't paying fees for players. James was a rarity that Bradford paid a fee for him. I think it was around £7,500 and a bag of balls. I think they paid Guiseley for James Hanson.
The manager and the assistant there said, look, enjoy yourselves. This is a full house at Bradford. You've done ever so well to get in. This is sort of your reward to play in front of 25,000 that are going to be backing you all night.
Free kick taken upfield. It's won well by McHugh.
So I was there on the night commentating for local radio.
In comes the corner, any chance, and he's over the bar.
Bradford had weathered a bit of a storm very, very early on in the first few minutes, but they'd come out the other side of that.
We dug in, and then we played to our strengths, where any chance we got, we put bodies in the box and made them ask a few questions of them. And
they'd not got up the pitch too often in the first sort of 10 minutes of the game. And then I think it was Naki Wells who got brought down for a free kick.
15 minutes played, 0-0 at Valley Parade on Pole Sport. Gary Jones on the free kick.
I can remember it now. I think the ball's coming in, and
it was a free kick that Gary Jones whipped in. It was flicked on at the near post, and
it's a chance, is it? Yes!
As he's flicked it, I've looked behind me, and obviously Tomo's done brilliant falling in at the back post. And
Gary Thompson at the back post with the finish.
And I think there was almost a feeling of disbelief around the ground that Bradford had taken the lead.
City 1, Arsenal 0.
And once it got through to half time, everybody was looking at each other in disbelief. And it was almost as if second half normal service will be resumed, and as it materialised, Bradford dug in again in the second half.
All the ball they had, they didn't really create too much, and dare I say, we was quite comfortable in the game once we'd scored the goal.
And with every minute you're looking at the clock all the time thinking they're getting closer.
Cazorla hits it, and Duke beats it away, and it goes back out to the far side.
Up until like the 78th minute, I think that was the first shot on target. I think it was Santi Cazorla.
And then as you get into the last 10 minutes, you're thinking, you know what, they could do this.
To Cazorla, it's going to come back in the mix again here. Arsenal, plenty of bodies in, and it comes back post, and they score! A back post header, and it's Vermaelen, the captain, that's got it. With 3 minutes to go, Arsenal have equalised, and this game could be heading for extra time.
But then you get to the 87th minute, in comes the cross, and Vermaelen nods the ball into the back of the net. You thought, that's it, Bradford's chance has gone.
I'll be honest, I think a lot of that lads' heads did drop, but thankfully we dug on in there and managed to take them to penalties.
Nathan Doyle to take the first one in the shootout. He steps up and he scores. Great penalty in the bottom corner.
It's a penalty, that is,
and City are ahead.
So Bradford, some of their players held their nerve, one or two didn't.
Alan Connell steps up and he scores.
Yeah, Arsenal, their penalties weren't good. They missed some penalties.
And Arsene Wenger turns away in disgust. Stephen Darby.
And then it came through to Richie Jones.
Richie Jones, can he score? Can he book City's place in the semi-final of the Capital One Cup? If he scores, City are through and he's missed.
Bradford were 3-2 up at the time, so if Richie Jones had scored, then Arsenal, there was no way back for them.
And Arsenal have got a chance to get out of jail again. And it's going to be Thomas Vermaelen. He rescued them in normal time.
It was Arsenal's 5th penalty. Vermaelen stepped up.
So Vermaelen had to score to keep Arsenal in the tie, and I just remember all the lads ready, hoping the keeper would make a great save or something. And
you'd almost gone from the high of Richie Jones could win it here, and Bradford are through, to he's missed, and that's it, chance gone again. Vermaelen will score this, and Arsenal will go on and win it. And he stepped up.
Still through, Vermaelen has to score.
And he hit the post, and that was it. It was all over.
We just saw the ball bounce out, and then we just realised we'd done it, and we just ran to the keeper as you do.
I was sat in the main stand, and everyone was very much kind of shoehorned together, and the place just erupted, and I've not heard kind of noises like that in Valley Parade for a long time.
The win over Arsenal was massive, but then Bradford drew Aston Villa in the semi-finals.
Up until then, it was obviously the biggest moment of his lives. So we're thinking, like, we've got half a chance here.
In towards the back post, Benteke says, yes, James Hanson!
James Hanson actually scored the crucial goal at Villa Park to take Bradford to Wembley.
Is that a goal that will take City to Wembley?
To beat Villa after the Arsenal win was just unbelievable achievement for a League Two club to get to a major cup final.
So obviously it was Chelsea v Swansea in the other semi-final, and at the time Swansea was playing probably the best football I'd seen from an outside top 14.
And there's the final whistle. Swansea City are winners of the Capital One Cup final by 5-0.
It was just a shame that we couldn't lay a glove on them that day. It was that good.
Bradford City have been beaten, well beaten here today, but their achievement must never be forgotten and never underrated.
Bradford were well beaten, but the story was about getting to a major final for a League Two club, and then Bradford managed to get themselves into the playoffs, and they were back at Wembley at the end of the season in the playoffs. James Hanson scored again in the playoff final against Northampton, and it capped off a fairy tale season, because not only did Bradford get to the League Cup final, they also got promotion at Wembley into League One.
As a fourth tiered side to go to Wembley and play a Premier League side is unheard of, and with it being a full house as well, it was absolutely brilliant occasion for me and my family, and for me to be living in Bradford as well, it's probably made it even better for me. I'd be going to the shop and you'd be getting 5 or 6 fans talking to you about the games, and yeah, it was a brilliant year to be involved in.
Well, for James, he was the only player in the team from the area. The fact that he worked in the local supermarket, the fans used to sing he used to work at the Quart. That was the chant that used to echo around the ground all the time. He created that bond again between the city and the football club, and it was just a fairy tale season, a fairy tale story. For a League Two side to achieve what Bradford did that season, I don't think it will ever happen again.
A Football Fairy Tale was written and produced by Robert Mulhern. For more information on this story, log on to skynews.com/StoryCast21. Next time,
I just saw, the ceiling crashing down, just the destruction.
We're in Belgium, as Brussels experiences its deadliest attack since World War II.
The second terrorist was going towards the main exit. I passed him, and he detonated the bomb